everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful, if perhaps too hot, Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to be talking about, since it is this patriotic season in America, it was just the 4th of July, Independence Day. We're going to be talking a little bit about sort of America.
Yeah.
And some things that we maybe grew up believing about America.
Yeah, grew up believing. We were specifically taught things about America. This is a land of the free and the home of the brave, and we're going to discuss it.
Oh, my God. No kidding. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
I think I've got something that in sort of that spirit, Dan. I want to talk about the presidential election that's coming up. And I think...
Oh, are we having one of those?
And I think, Dan, that it is time that we, as a podcast, make our endorsement. For president.
Okay.
One Mr. Kanye West. That's who should be president of these United States. Don't you think so, Dan?
Well, I feel like it would be racist for me to say no.
God, really?
Just kidding. It is of all of the ideas, and believe me, at this moment in history in our country, we have only bad ideas for president. It's just a matter of which is the worst idea. Like on the scale of bad ideas, there's one that's like way, way, way better than the other ones, but it's still a bad idea. But that's fine. We'll move on from that.
Yeah. So
Kanye, I don't know. Who would be worse, Kanye or Trump? I literally can't imagine one being. They're both
absolute
self-serving
crazy
narcissists.
Yeah, that's the word I was leading to. Yeah. So I think they would be the same thing.
Yeah.
If you want 4 more years of Trump, you could easily vote for Kanye West.
Right.
As many people who have felt like they deserved to be president of the United States, he believes that God told him to run for the presidency. Of course he does. He is nothing if not a crazy lunatic of a Christian. He says, I love Jesus Christ. I love Christianity. God just gave me the clarity and said it's time.
Well, God's timing is terrible because he needed to file paperwork months ago. In order for this to be any kind of real thing. He is way behind. God was really slow on the uptake with this.
And not only has he not filed any of the proper paperwork, he's also according to him, he's never voted once in his life. But again, that level of involvement and care that he has demonstrated, that clearly he deserves to be president. He believes that God appoints the president. And this is not an unheard of belief amongst conservative Christians.
No, although it doesn't explain all of the presidents that they don't like.
Right. Or the absolute, complete, utter disasters of presidents that they have liked.
Right.
But somehow who were just really quite amazing. He says, let's see if the appointing is for 2020 or if it's 2024. He says, because God appoints the president. If I win in 2020, then it was God's appointment. If I win in 2024, then that was God's appointment.
And if you never come even close to winning,
also God's appointment. Like this is like
Satan got in the way.
Yeah, but how does somebody like, because Michelle Bachmann, right? Herman Cain. Rick Perry. These are all people who stated sort of the same thing, right? That they
Sure.
believed that God called on them to seek the highest office, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like he calls multiple in the same election,
Right.
right? In the same.
I'm pretty sure that back in 16, like 6 of the 42 Republicans who were up on the dais trying to debate each other were all called of God to be there.
Yeah. And I like, how do you not, like, do you not believe that the other person was called?
Right.
Do you like,
They weren't called. Was your calling real?
Called. I was called, not you, Michelle Bachmann, right? Clearly not you.
Michelle Bachmann. Oh my God.
Nobody would
That woman.
call that woman to be president of the United States. Nobody would call Rick Perry to be president of the United States.
Yeah.
But people kind of liked him. And some people like her. That's what's insane to me.
Yeah, the question is, who likes Kanye? Because here's the thing. The second he announced this, my Facebook feed lit up with people going, great, he'll siphon votes off of Trump. And then other people going, holy shit, he's going to siphon votes off of Biden. Everybody make sure this doesn't happen or whatever. And it's like, yeah, he actually has the potential to just, I don't know where his votes would come from.
From nowhere. Like you said, he's not actually running.
No.
But he, I mean, he's famously been a Trump supporter, but he's become disillusioned with the president.
Well,
He says
Tiger energy is a tricky thing to maintain.
He says it looks like one big mess to me. He's called on both Trump and Joe Biden to bow out, saying it's God's country. We are doing everything in service to God. Nobody but God can nobody but God, no more. I am in service of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I put everything I get on the line to serve God. This guy's completely off the deep end.
Yeah. Yeah. And also cannot imagine that there is anything that is closed to him. Just like our current president, who ended up being right. So I'm not going to make any predictions. Who knows? Maybe Kanye is going to be the next president of the United States of America. Anything's possible. Ours is a nation of fools. Anyway, speaking of a nation of fools, I'm going to talk about that foolish nation's highest court, the Supreme Court, the SCOTUS, the country's final word on matters of law. Mm-hmm. And they've had a couple of decisions recently. Man, they are just on fire with the decision making. Yeah, including, and I should remind our listeners that that there are no avowed atheists in our highest court. There are just Catholics and Jews, right? Is that all there is? Still? Is Kavanaugh?
No.
He's Catholic.
He is.
Kavanaugh's Catholic.
Gorsuch is Episcopalian.
Oh, well, then they've infiltrated. The Episcopalians are in.
But I can't remember. Gorsuch has a history of not being Episcopalian. I don't know what he was before. I don't remember.
But I mean, there was that time in college when he went through a weird.
He tried Catholicism.
Yeah, but it didn't take. Anyway, yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. Boy, are they really... They have torn down that wall of separation between church and state, just brick by goddamn brick. Maybe they're reusing the bricks for Trump's wall. Who knows? But here's the deal. So listeners will remember from last week that there were some decisions that they had made, including one that seemed great, which was... what was the one? Oh, it was the abortion one. They did a good abortion one. And then what? Now it's just all shit. Other than the ruling that they did today against Trump and forcing him maybe to give his tax returns over, which is kind of funny. Mm. What they got now is a couple of rulings. One, which is about birth control and the fact that no company that has a religious side to it, a religious mandate, should have to do birth control for their employees. How dare they? So, in a 7-2 ruling, which is kind of surprising, they have decided that you can't force a religious organization to provide birth control for women, or as I like to call it, abortion prevention pills, which is, it's insane that they don't see that, but there you go. The second ruling that's really baking my noodle is that they have ruled on ministerial exceptions, which is to say that if you run a religious organization, doesn't have to be a church,
What?
Okay. And you can basically, and now here's what they've done. They've carved out the broadest possible definition of the word minister. So,
oh no.
Any religious organization can basically make they make the call on what's a minister in their organization.
Right.
And if the person is a minister, they can fire that person for any reason.
Oh,
so,
no.
Teachers in religious schools, they can fire them for any reason. You know, if they want to make a janitor a minister, they can do, if you're a docent at the Ark Encounter, good luck if you want to sue for religious or for any kind of, wrongful termination, because they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Oh my God.
It is a land with special privileges just for the religious, and that's where we live now.
Well, Dan, let's become a religious organization.
I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
The TGIA should be a religion. I don't know.
Because then I can finally fire you for no reason.
Finally. You've been looking for an angle on that one for forever.
And you'll counter fire, I'm sure.
Right. We're both fired. Damn it. We did it at the same time. Now who's running the company? There's a vacuum.
All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
COVID-19, it's, as it's been pointed out, we're just mired in the first wave of this.
I don't even believe in it.
Right.
It's not even a real thing.
It's surging. We're having our summer surge. People have called it. Well, one thing that people like to do, at least, a lot of people like to send their kids off to summer camp. Right?
Yeah,
and,
sure.
There's a network of Christian sports camps in Missouri called...
You just said a whole bunch of words that make me cringe. I don't like any of those words.
Well, wait until you hear the name of the damn thing. The Kanakuk camps, there are too many K's in that. Let me tell you. There's actually a suspicious number of K's in Kanakuk.
There's a concerning amount of K's in that, yeah.
Nonetheless,
concerning is what it is.
And of course, they spell camp with a K, and they refer to the kids that go to the camp as campers with a K.
Oh my God!
It's just really gross. Anyway, they decided against all better reason to open their camps at the beginning of May. Even though Missouri, the leaders and health departments were like, maybe not the best idea, but they let them do it anyway, because the leaders of the camp were confident that they had made all the necessary plans for any potential COVID-19 outbreak and that it just wouldn't happen, right? Well, needless to say, 82 kids and staff are now infected with coronavirus.
Yeah.
Because one of their camps, known as K2, these people, they are obsessed with Ks.
It does feel, here's the thing, I get it, like you want to use a wacky misspelling because it's fun for the kids or whatever,
right?
Or because the first word starts with K and you want to continue it or whatever.
Sure.
But if there's even the remotest chance that your organization could be linked to the Ku Klux Klan, and you can't see that and make a better decision.
Well, I would just love it if in their email that they sent out about COVID-19 that they had actually spelled COVID with a K. I mean, that would have been more fitting for the cute little thing that all the kids got. Well, they've closed K2 down, sent everybody home, and the email sent to the parents says, as your camper returns home, we recommend that you consider a 14-day self-quarantine for your child and monitor for symptoms of COVID-19. Yeah. Of course. The
should have done that before they went to camp.
Yeah, they should have, right? Like camp there should have been the camp quarantine prior to starting camp. It is a sports camp, for Christ's sake.
And how do you spell quarantine with a K?
KW.
It's cuter that way, I think.
Quarantined for COVID. Yeah, like, holy crap. So, again, Christians just flat out ignoring this damn thing. I saw a thing today, Dan, where it was like, it was posted online, and it was you know, like, it said something about how non-believers are far less likely to actually get COVID-19, and like all the responses were, like no shit, right?
Right.
We're not going to church.
Because what we believe in is reality.
Right.
We like to sort of pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's to the point where I see all of these stories about pastors getting it, or about like an entire congregation ignoring it and getting it.
Yeah.
And it's not even, I don't even consider it for the show anymore because it's too common. It's just,
I know.
I just assume that everybody knows that that's all that's happening in the country. Like half of us are trying to avoid it, and half of us are like sticking our head in the sand and singing hymns.
Well, I mean, it is literally all that's happening, Dan. It's like either nothing's happening in your life and you don't have COVID, right? Or you're, or things are happening in your life and you're just like,
and you're
flagrantly going on about your business. And I mean, it's not like it's a guarantee, but you're out there. It's possible.
Yeah, and you don't have the right to be surprised when you get it.
Yeah,
that's
and
for
all of a sudden everything gets more interesting for a few weeks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I'm gonna here in these United States. But before COVID, and even after, probably, I don't know. People love their nightclubs. Go out and dance, get a drink, have some fun out at the club.
Oh, there are a few things I enjoy more, Dan.
Right? You and I are definitely club people. You start playing that electronic dance music, and we are there.
I can't. My EDM gets going. I can't hold still.
Oh yeah, I grab a couple glow sticks, pop a Molly, and I am gone. Anyway. There are some people who have, the clubs, they got to choose how to decorate. They got to figure out how they're going to make their place stand out as cool, as hip, whatever.
Where's this going?
And a whole bunch of clubs have apparently opted to go for religious symbols, including things like, you throw a Buddha in as a nice decorative touch, which, by the way, there is something so douchey about decorating with a Buddha if you are not a Buddhist. That's like, I'm sorry, I know some of our listeners right now are going, but mine in my garden is really cool. Nah, it's kind of lame. Anyway, Hindu deities all over the place, and Buddhist things. A interfaith coalition has launched a campaign to ask to call on these clubs to be more respectful.
Oh my God.
of their decor.
Have you ever been to Club Chakra here in town?
Yeah.
Have you?
No. Is there one? You just made that up.
No. It's right next door to Himalayan Kitchen. It's owned by the same people. So I think that it's probably okay that they call it Club Chakra.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered, like, what is that place like?
Yeah. It's spicy. Anyway, what's funny is that I just shamed people for having Buddhas but fuck it, I'm wrong. Go ahead. This is, it's funny because I'm of two minds on the thing. Like,
Okay.
your gods aren't real, so I don't care very much.
Right.
But also, I don't want to offend people.
Right.
It is holy to them. It is sacred to them, and it's not your thing.
Well, I
You
think
can't just use
Yeah.
somebody else's culture as your decoration. Just like religious shit that you don't even understand. But man, that guy with the elephant head sure looks wacky.
Yeah. I think that they should crucify Jesus
Yeah.
once a night at a club. I think it would be amazing. Like flashing lights and lasers and and crucify Jesus in front of a crowd. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah,
I
the
would
cross
love
is
that.
raised up as the
Yeah.
music's like boo, 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 boo,
Yeah.
boo, 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 boo,
And the bass
and then
drops.
flames shoot out of his hands.
Oh my god. It'd be amazing.
Oh man. I think we just have that is a registered trademark of TGIA. That is our club idea. If you do it, you have to pay us.
Yeah, sure.
If clubs ever exist again.
Never again.
Remember when we used to go out in crowds and enjoyed it sometimes? Yeah. Anyway.
That was a while ago. Well, Dan, here's a story about people who just can't help themselves but go out and make other people sick.
Okay.
I know, I'm sorry. I had 2 Corona stories, but
It's okay.
this story comes to us from California, where Governor Newsom has been going head to head with the churches, right? Saying, for a while, I think there was a full on closure. In fact, that was a thing. And now they kind of have some rules where people can go to church, but you're supposed to social distance.
Right.
You're supposed to wear a mask. And in addition to that, the state is asking that that unless it's absolutely necessary, actually no, there is no absolutely necessary here. That there's no singing.
Yeah.
Please don't sing, and please don't do chants, because it's known that these are that's how you really shed virus, right? In large quantities, right?
You are propelling air purposefully harder than you normally do just breathing.
And it just expels the virus out. And there have been these, they've specifically had these sort of nexuses, I guess, of spreading, right? That have happened at choir practices and stuff like that. There was that one choir where people almost everybody got sick and people died, right?
Yeah.
Well, nonetheless, so this is really good advice coming from the state. It's supposed to be a bit of an order, but nobody's really following. Well, some are following it, but you've got these big scofflaws, the likes of, Sacramento area, Grace Bible Church. They've explicitly said that they won't follow the order, because doing so, or following the order would they would not be showing their obedience to God's word. The elders here at Grace have determined that the state mandate has encroached upon the essential activities of worship as commanded in Scripture. We will display some deference to our authorities, however, and we will not sing as much, but we sometimes do. We must sing, right?
We are mandated by our beliefs to sing.
Right?
Because there are scriptures that say sing out for the Lord or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to guess that doesn't mean you got to do it every week or else.
Yeah.
And you got to do it in the church or else. And come on.
Why not just say, hey, everybody, this is where some good leadership maybe could have actually helped a little bit, where maybe the state could have maybe got some reasonable religious types in the room,
pastors,
and said, hey, listen, we need to come. How do we phrase this, right? How do we talk about this, right? Like, what are some of the suggestions that we could make? Like, it's not that you can't sing, but maybe suggest that you go home and sing, or maybe take the congregation outside and sing, or we don't want you to not, like, if you feel like you need to be worshiping, we don't want to stop you from that, right? We just want you to be safe. And we believe, right? Like you might as well just say it. We believe that God wants you to be smart and to take care of yourself, right? Yeah. And then he'll meet you halfway. You could say that, right? Like, I would say that. Like, like, just
you can
speak a little bit of their language. Right, exactly. And just get them on board with like this idea of like, no. Like, Christians throughout their history have found every way that they possibly can to worship, and nobody's going to stop you from worshiping, right? Like, make them heroes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're a Christian hero by not singing today here
That's
with your fellow Christians. Like,
march on, Christian soldiers,
and find solutions that worked though for different kinds of congregations, instead of just like I actually kind of just like, well, if you're going to let them meet up, how do you tell them not to do certain things, right? Like, just, if they're not safe, just keep them shut down.
Right?
Like the federal court decision like sided with California and said, yeah, they can shut you down. So why not just keep them shut down?
Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah, it's all okay. It's all stupid.
I'm pissed, Dan.
All right. Well, I'm gonna close us out with our good friends from the TST, the Satanic Temple, who have always been fighting the good fight since their inception, trying to keep any semblance of a wall between church and state. I don't know if you heard about it, but during this time of trying to right a few wrongs in our country's relationship with racism, we've changed some things. We've taken down some monuments. And Mississippi was the last state in the Union to still have the Confederate flag, or the Confederate image on their state flag.
Right.
And they're finally going to get rid of it. But of course, you may have heard that they have the law that gets rid of the retired the old flag and said the new flag can't have that Confederate imagery on it. Also required that it had the phrase "In God We Trust." We talked about that.
Right.
Well, the Satanic Temple is stepping in. They have written a letter to Attorney General Lynn Fitch, saying that basically that "In God We Trust" is another way of excluding a whole bunch of Mississippians, which is true, and that they will sue.
Nice.
If it gets put on there. And they make, again, always with these guys, they make exactly the right point, which is, I think Lucian Greaves said something about, if you can just imagine the words "In Satan We Trust" on the flag, and think about how that makes you feel.
Right.
Now, imagine how, and this is a direct quote, he said, "If you can imagine that, then you might imagine how atheists, Satanists, and other people of non-theistic faiths could feel excluded by the addition of 'In God We Trust' to the state flag."
Right.
They're so spot on.
Yeah.
Nothing will come of this, of course.
No, of course not. The vexillologists of America suing would have just as much effect.
Right.
And they have equal standing in my mind as to an objection to there being words on the flag. Somebody pointed out, I can't remember where I saw this, but it was something TGIA. We got some feedback somewhere where somebody had pointed out that there was a certain number of states, a large number of states, and we know this to be true, that have words on their flags. I mean, it doesn't make it right.
I think ours does, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course ours does. We have a hideous flag. Ours breaks a number of rules. We have a state seal on our flag, right? Which is a major no-no. That's a big no-no. And then also I think we have like the date of the, like we have numbers on our flag.
Yeah.
Also just not desirable. So like, again, right? Like, this is an objection that I have for all flags with words, not just "In God We Trust."
Oh,
even though
goodness.
that's doubly, for me, that's doubly offensive.
Yeah. The Satanic Temple's fun. I actually saw a thing, basically USA Today did an interesting fact check, because apparently there have been very outraged calls going around now that, now that Confederate monuments are coming down and flags are changing and stuff. Apparently a whole bunch of people are calling angrily for the removal of satanic statues and monuments and Baphomet statues all throughout our country, which is great because there aren't any. There's one Baphomet statue at the Satanic Temple's headquarters in Salem, Massachusetts, and that's it.
Yeah.
But people, because the Satanic Temple has been so effective at scaring the bejesus out of everybody, they've got this Mandela effect of like believing that they have managed to get Satan put up as a monument all over our country. It's awesome.
That's amazing.
So there you go. Listen, kids, if you guys have anything you'd like to say to us, if you want to call us out or call us in or whatever it is you want to say to us,
or just call us
please,
up.
Or call us up. Do that. The first thing you could do is write to us. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the address.
Or call and leave a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It's a closed group. We will let you in. Also find us on Twitter at TGIAtheist.
Yeah.
More show coming along. Hey, Dan.
Yes.
So it's not often that we actually get the chance to play audio from a church service. Normally, it's lunatics just talking on the internet, right?
Yeah, oftentimes, or they have some dumb TV show like Pat Robertson or something
exactly,
like that.
Right. But we're actually going to play a little bit from a very odd moment at the Bethel Church in Redding, California. We've talked about them before. They're lunatics, right? They bug their neighbors, and I can't remember everything that's crazy about them. But
what we need to know for the purposes of this thing is that they take the idea, all of these the clips that we play, we have so many people who are like, the magical thinking is strong. They're gonna repel a hurricane, or they're gonna, Kenneth Copeland has made COVID-19 a thing of the past multiple times. He has solved it multiple times.
Right, exactly.
These guys take magical thinking to a real interesting place.
Well, Pastor Marlene got a prophetic vision right before this event, and she saw us doing a prophetic act that was going to be very, very historic.
One of the movies that has really touched my heart is Lord of the Rings. So I encourage you, if you haven't done this in the proper order, you must put oil in your door and then go in front and repeat this act with us. And Gandalf stands in his authority in front of the demon and says it. The first time he hits it and it doesn't happen. The second time Gandalf does it again and still the demon is not obeying. And at the third time, Gandalf puts both of his hands on the staff and he said, I said... And he hits it. And that authority is what we're talking about, that can only be released by an apostolic decree.
Yeah. We decree and declare that racism will end. It's over in the ecclesia from this night forward in Jesus' mighty name. Let's lift it up and bang it.
Thou shalt not pass. One more. We need you to agree with us. Thou shalt not pass. The name of Jesus Christ.
Seriously, the name of Jesus Christ. I mean, that's like,
oh my God.
Jesus
I need you
Christ.
guys. We should have
What
maybe
the
painted a picture beforehand. So retroactively, go back in your minds and listen to this again in your heads. Only just know that there's this group of, and it is a panoply of ethnicities and races up on that stage. It's 6 or 7 people, all holding a large stick, and then like trying to do the Ian McKellen Gandalf, "You shall not pass" thing, but it's the weakest getting 6 or 7 people to all like bang the stick at the right time. It doesn't work. It's a mess. They really needed to coordinate better.
Practice, maybe.
But I mean, if you're going to do a visual stunt,
well,
maybe give it a practice.
but what I want to know is like, what does the Lord of the Rings have to do with anything? Like,
yeah.
like if their little Bible thing isn't enough, right? What are they admitting to, right? Like, why do they, like,
Right?
why do they need like the Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
The
Well,
Lord
I mean,
like this thing's filled with like all sorts of magic and like sorcery and
yeah.
right, like this is where they go. On any other day, they don't want their kids even watching this shit. I bet, right? Like,
Yeah.
But they're referencing it in church. Like, I'm just like, I'm sure these people wouldn't let their kids watch the Smurfs for Christ's sake.
Oh my God. Wow. How dated are we now? Like you just dated our podcast.
No, there was a kid on my block when I was growing up, whose mother wouldn't let him watch the Smurfs because Gargamel was magic.
Oh my God. You literally like a third of our listenership just went,
Like,
I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. The what's now? All right.
Smurfs?
We had some folks write into us. This is from Gustav, who says, "Hi. I was listening to episode number 405 where you spoke of a Swedish imam who was fined $300 for hate speech. Do you remember that? That was a while ago.
But yeah, I vaguely remember this.
Yeah. Gustav goes on, in Sweden, we try to promote diverse cultural associations by grants from the government. So if a group has invited a convicted imam, grants can be withdrawn. And now it's not $300, but millions, depending on the size of the association. Same goes for churches. I just thought that was really interesting.
Huh. Okay.
They can, once somebody seems to be branded with hate speech, like nobody's going to invite them anywhere because they'll lose huge grants.
Huh.
Anyway, thanks for that, Gustav. Yeah, apparently Gustav is working his way backwards through our back catalog, which is that's nuts. But enjoy, please enjoy. Hey, Frank and Dan, this is from Isaac. I was fascinated. Sorry, Frank. This is in reference to I don't remember the woman's name that we talked about last week, and her who had left. Was it last week? She left the Mormon Church and had some criticisms of the rest of the ex-Mormon crowd.
Yeah. Met Harrison's her name. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, Isaac, I was fascinated by the neophyte ex-Mormon. You seemed to be skeptical that she was being pressured to drink, but I suspect she's just being exposed for the first time to normal American culture. The pressure to drink alcohol is abundant, even for non-Mormons. It comes in the form of advertisements in the spaces used for social gatherings, implicit in the stories of a lot of people, stories a lot of people like to tell, and sometimes in explicit pressure from people who seem to find it threatening when someone doesn't drink. I've experienced all of those pressures myself. And I think that's fair. I have heard some people say, come on, have a drink. Come on. But like, not grown-ups. You know what I mean? Like that was in the 20s or in their 20s or whatever. I guess some grown-ups do that.
Yeah. Problem drinkers are problem drinkers.
It's true. That is true.
But also, that actually is a really good point.
Sure.
Because like we're looking at it and we're sort of used to just regular, whatever drinking culture we're regularly exposed to. And for somebody who's never been around it, it could seem that there's more pressure than maybe there really is, right? That pressure to
maybe
fit in, if nothing else, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that that's very possible. But I also think that she was wildly overstating her case for effect.
Oh,
and
yeah, for sure.
she was
absolutely.
She like other people do experience that, and sometimes it's an undue amount of pressure, and that's uncomfortable and not cool.
Yeah, I actually got on
but
to
she was still
Twitter after the show, and I was looking at one of her more recent tweets, and it was essentially a poll, and she was saying, well, it doesn't look like writing about ex-Mormons is going to be my future. What else do you guys think I maybe should spend my time on? I don't think she got a very good reaction from the ex-Mormon community. Poor dear.
Poor lady.
Poor dear.
Okay. Dan in the Catskills wrote into us. Hi, guys. I felt compelled to write in after hearing a listener say, as a gay man who shoots at guns and works in a machine shop, he is told he doesn't fit the mold. Just wanted to let you know that it goes both ways, so to speak. I'm a straight man who plays classical flute in operas, symphonies, and ballet. I've been taking grief about my sexual identity versus the instrument I play my entire life.
Oh.
When I was young, I saw it as a good way to meet chicks, and I was right because I married another flutist. I believe the actual word is fluter. And now we have two awesome teenage boys, neither of whom has any interest in playing the flute. Anyway, okay. That's true.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that you can't tell who people like by sort of what they do.
No. I think we need to just accept that things are, that the world is surprising, and people in particular can be very surprising.
And you don't have it figured out.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Right.
Is that no matter how long you've lived and how many people you know, you don't have it all figured out yet. There's no formula for humans because we're wacky. So do we have some folks to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have 4 new patrons on Patreon. These kind folk went to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and clicked on the support tab. So yeah, we have 2 new deacons. We have Rick and Lisa, thanks to the both of you. And we have
peace be upon you.
We have a new teacher, Melanie. You get to set up the sacrament, Melanie. Yes. And then we have a new priest, Gary. And all you get to do is say a little prayer before the sacrament.
Yeah.
Oh, it's break amazing. The bread. You got to break the bread, Gary. That's kind of fun.
I'll tell you what. The fact that we're inducting you into Mormon priesthood is a very special thing. But we only do it because we love you and because we're really appreciative of your patronage. Now, if you guys out there aren't a patron and think to yourselves, maybe I could be, maybe I should be. Well, go to thankgodimatheist.com, click on the support tab, and then look. You go to the Patreon page. You decide how much you're going to support us. We're happy with any amount of support.
Oh yeah.
It's just that the more you give, the better a person you are. That's all. So that's about you. That's not about us.
And Dan, not for nothing. The campaign that we've been running, we're really close to the final goal.
That's true.
We're like 9 new patrons away from hitting the final goal. At that point, the show goes ad-free. Done.
Totally.
Completely ad-free for everyone. So you're kind of doing a good deed. Not just for yourself, because like if you go become a patron, you immediately get an ad-free version of the show available to you each week. But you're doing it for everyone, which is cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And just remember that if you can't give that way, there are other ways for you to help us out. You can give us 5 stars wherever stars are available. You can tell friends about our show. Word of mouth is super useful. All of these are ways that you can help people to find us, and that's super helpful too.
Absolutely.
And there's one more person to thank.
Our Lord and Savior, our top donor, Davis.
Oh, praise to you. We kneel and pray to thee, O Davis. And stay tuned. We'll talk some more.
So, Dan.
Yes.
America.
Here it is.
Just the way it rolls out of your mouth. America.
The land we're not allowed to leave.
We're so free. Our freedoms are so plentiful right now.
Let freedom ring, but not in other countries because they don't want us right now. Oh, man. Here's the thing. This country, we were raised, I was raised, and I'm sure that you and I are the same age. We have...
roughly the same age. You are a bit older than me.
I am a month and a few days older than you, so obviously I have that extra wisdom.
I must I find myself deferring to it all the time.
Yeah. Well, my beard also has more gray in it than you, so that's the proof of the wisdom.
Dan.
Yeah, I got hit fast. It was like, I look at pictures of me from 5 years ago, and I'm like, holy shit, that went quick.
I know.
I'm an old man now. And, as an old man, I'm going to reminisce a little bit about our youth and about our childhood when we were raised to believe that this country of ours, this land of ours, is the best country in the world, bar none, absolutely no exceptions. You can't deny it. We've got freedom. Nobody else has that in the whole world.
I know.
We got the best songs. We got we got stars and stripes forever.
Oh yeah. The patriotic songs?
Oh
yeah. They're so good.
Yeah, exactly. It's
give me a marching band
line
any day, right? Playing some patriotic marching songs.
You need to polish up your trombone and get back out get back out there.
Yeah.
Just get some John Philip Sousa going. But here's the thing. That was the line that we were fed.
Yeah.
It was really this sense of the amazingness of this country. And and that was the way that they pursued this line of reasoning wasn't just to tell us, but actually to lie to us directly to our faces about our country's history, completely rewrite the whole thing, make heroes out of a bunch of awful human beings. Like, it's kind of amazing. They're now sort of just starting to broach the idea that maybe we don't, we don't deify Christopher Columbus.
Oh my God.
And maybe not all of the founding fathers were literally perfect humans sent by God to guide the world into a new age. Like, this is literally the thinking that we were raised with.
I know.
So now we look at a country that is maybe coming to terms with a few of its manifold myriad flaws.
Right.
And there's a little bit of tarnish on that shine.
Yeah.
I don't know. We recently, this week, we celebrated. We had a 4th of July. We passed the date.
I don't know
July
that I celebrated
4th.
much. I got into a swimming pool.
Yeah,
that was it.
Alone.
Well,
right?
2 other people.
Or with 2 other people. But no
strangers.
No crowds.
No crowd, no strangers.
Right.
And that was lovely. It had been since, last summer. There haven't been many opportunities for, poolside or in-pool recreation this summer.
I know I ain't swum in a while.
Yeah, and I have to finagle access to a pool, but it's
Right.
usually finagleable.
Yeah.
And so 4th of July, obviously not a big day on my calendar normally. I'm annoyed by the whole thing mostly.
Yeah,
no, I don't like
jingoism,
the fireworks, and I don't. Yeah, the sentiment of the day is really off-putting. But I remember being a kid, and I can kind of remember like the first 4th of July that I was aware of, and I feel like, and I might be like wrongly remembering this, but I feel like there was a rodeo involved, right? And
Sure.
and I remember there because I just feel like there was like, we were up in like some stands, right? And there was stuff going on, and then at a certain point, there was like it turned ridiculous patriotic, right? Like, I mean, a good rodeo is going to have the national anthem and somebody run, on a horse, running around holding the flag, right?
Yeah, sure.
They're gonna have all that kind of stuff, but like 4th of July, it's gonna be nuts, and then there's fireworks, and I remember this.
If you're not wearing a star and a stripe, you're gonna be killed. It's murder.
And I just have this memory of like people talking about the best country in the world, and God's country and all that kind of crap. And I don't know if I like questioned like what are they talking about, like, to my mom, but I know she, like, I remember her like reinforcing it and all that kind of stuff. And so it's what you grew up with. And that's just that was a sort of the city level. That was the town we lived in.
Right.
Then you go to Mormon church and pretty much any Christian church in this country, and it's America, America, America. We're so fucking
It's more of the
special.
same, yeah. Well, and especially Mormonism, because Mormonism was created here.
Yeah. Well, and this was
so there's something,
the only country
like,
that it could possibly have come forth in, and we are an elect and special, country, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so
this is where the goddamn Garden of Eden was, according to Mormonism.
Right.
Mormonism, like the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve in Missouri.
Yeah.
That's how American Mormonism is.
Right. And I, so I just remember like, leaving the country, when I was, we went to like Canada a couple times when I was a kid. And then like, for my mission, going to Italy, and it was always just like, what are these people doing? Right. It's like,
why aren't they basically worshiping me right now?
I know.
Shouldn't they be falling down and on their knees and praising me for being American?
And and I'll fall prey to, and I in the past, like I really liked The West Wing, right? Like,
yeah,
like, and the West Wing is all just like, America's, like, look how awesome. I mean, the show's basically look how awesome it could be, right?
Right.
In a lot of ways.
It's Sorkin brand jingoism.
But it's just like, it's an easy thing to fall into, and it is nice, I think, to be. I mean, it's a painful process that this country is going through right now, obviously. But thank God it's something seems to finally be sticking on these things that we need to be reckoning with as a nation.
On a few of the things,
and I hope that we just get a little bit more of a level head throughout more of the population about just, who we are, and like America can be a force for good, right? Like, and that is true. Like, until recently, I would say, I mean, we are definitely not a country without our sins internationally, right? But, the good probably outweighed the bad in a lot of ways, but
that's a bold statement.
I think so. No.
I'm not sure I'm there, but maybe.
I think that American leadership is a real thing, right? Like, it's as a superpower. I think we wielded that power as good as you could do, right? In a lot of ways, right?
With some notable exceptions.
Dan, I entered this whole thing with a caveat, right? Like
I know. I'm
like,
I'm continuing the
Okay,
caveat
good,
as
good.
we
So
go.
lest anybody misunderstand exactly what I'm saying, right?
Right.
I think that we can be that, and I think that that we should try to be that force for good. But like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a given, and I think that believing that it's a given is part of the problem right now. That like, because it's almost like it's so, the idea of America for so many people in this country is so sacred, right? That
Right.
it's sacrilege to say anything bad, and it's like, or to point out where we could improve, right?
Right.
And it makes this
Yeah.
situation where we can't improve, right? Like, we literally cannot make progress at this point on critical issues, things that we've been trying a really fucking long time to get right, and we just can't do it because, well, why fix it? It's perfect.
Right. The problem is that there's the jingoists. There's this dogmatic sense, and that's the problem, is that we've got a whole lot of people who are used to living with dogma.
Yeah.
And they've got this dogmatic sense of this country, which is that it has to stay the same. We've got one constitution, we got one blah, 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 and everything's supposed to stay as it is. And if you say that it's not good in any way, then you're criticizing the whole country, and how dare you? Yeah. So, like, yeah, I feel like all the change is slow and painful and laborious.
Yeah.
Because we have to fight through all of that to even get to, and sometimes we have to break a bunch of shit just so that people wake up a little bit and go, oh wait, maybe they've got a point, maybe something is wrong. So there you go. Here's my question. This is what I want to close on. Because there's the opposite side of this, right? The jingoists are one problem in America. The far other side of things, the far left side of things, is also problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's wrong. Everything's bad.
Right.
All our country does is negative.
Mm-hmm.
Our flag represents hate and evil, and that's all.
Yeah.
So I think that's equally problematic and also equally dogmatic, and doesn't leave room for nobody's leaving room for compromise.
Yeah, and that's it.
Which is the only way that change is actually happening.
You can't even have a conversation about it, right?
Right, exactly. With anybody on either side of on either extreme.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I'm closer to that. I'm closer. I see someone displaying the flag, in front of their house or from their truck or whatever, and I assume bad things about that person.
Well, from their truck, Dan.
Right? On their clothes or whatever.
I mean,
anyway,
if it's an American flag on a Prius, I would be a little confused. Right? I'd be like, what are they being ironic? Because we actually saw a Biden sticker on a Hummer the other day.
interesting.
And we were just both Dave and I were like, what's going on there?
See? You can't judge books by their cover. You don't know.
He's like,
you can't judge a book by its Hummer.
There's no way. And I'm like, I think that it's possible for somebody who owns a Hummer to want, not Trump.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
God bless him. So here's my final question to you. Do you think there will be a time in your life when you look at the American flag and feel pride again?
Pride.
Or feel some sense of a warm, glowy, happy feeling when you see that emblem?
I think if we rejoin the nations, the
WHO.
If we rejoin sort of our allies, our traditional allies, and continue to work toward ostensibly work toward a better future and make sure that we continue all the, because I mean, the one area, like the humanitarian stuff that this country has done has been pretty significant through the decades. And that's stuff to be proud of, right?
Yeah.
I think the Peace Corps is something to be proud of. And I think that if by and large we can just rip out this cancer that has been plaguing us for probably always, right? Of just this sense of this nation as being blessed by God, right?
Right.
I think if we could ever get to that point, if we could, like if we were a majority atheist country, I'd probably feel pretty good about the flag. Why not?
And that, what? It's funny because I asked that question about like, will there be a time in our lives when that happens? That could happen in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Majority atheist. That could happen.
It's possible.
All right. Now I've got hope. I'm just gonna. I'm literally going to stop you because I don't want to end without. I want to hold this hope.
Well, I don't think that just the mere fact that more atheists than not, right, or at least more non-believers, however people define themselves, right?
Right.
It's just that there would be such a better chance for reason and rational thought to be the prevailing, way that we have our discourse. Like, I don't care if everybody agrees. I don't care if half those people, are conservatives, right? Like, as long as we can all be on the same page about, well, we're going to have a rational conversation about problems. If that's possible, then I don't know if that's
acknowledging, or at least acknowledge, and hope that everybody is sort of in good faith actually trying to solve the issue.
Yeah,
problem.
We've got a lot of work. We have to restore our democratic institutions, right? We have to probably do some constitutional reforms, really, quite honestly, in order to fix a couple things.
Undo a whole bunch of gerrymandering and all sorts of
if we could get some of that stuff done, then I have hope for the future. But as it is right now, like, it's misery.
It's a very ugly place right now. Anyway, hey everybody, have a great week.
Oh yeah, I forgot people were listening.
Right? Yeah, we were just descending into our own madness on our own. But there are people listening, and if any of you listeners would like to take us to task or chime in on any of this, please feel free to do so. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the email.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in. Also find us on Twitter @TGIAtheist.
Yeah. Thanks to all of the people who help us out with our social media.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
And thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Bye-bye.